You are listening to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, where each week we have a conversation with everyday martial arts practitioners. From the first motivation to train, martial arts enriches our lives and becomes a lifestyle. Welcome to the individual stories of those martial artists living that lifestyle. You are listening to the abbreviated version. For those of you checking this out on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Full-length versions of this podcast can be subscribed to at our Patreon page, is www.patreon.com/malmag. Or individual full-length episodes can be purchased at our Gumroad page at malmag.gumroad.com. Before we begin this week's program, I would like to remind you to check out martialartslifestylemagazine.com to see articles on the martial arts. Click on the Store tab to find products for the practice of Southeast Asian martial arts, featuring Timmy B's brand sticks. Check out the Courses tab, currently featuring a course on the Dos Manos method of the Filipino martial arts. Also check out our Places to Train page, featuring top quality martial art academies from around the world. And of course, check out our events page for seminars and events coming up around the world. To see your school listed in our Places to Train page or your event on our events calendar, contact us at malmagonline@gmail.com. This week, I get on Zoom and I connect to South Carolina and I talk with podcast alum Mike Yuskiw. A lot has happened with Mike since the last time we talked to him in Season 1, and in this episode we catch up. We talk about what you do when the martial arts school you work for shuts down, and students approach you about what do you do next. Mike talks about how he handled that and what his plans are for now and for the future. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, and tuning back in today is probably, I think, the most wanted man, it seems, in the in the last week, because he was just on Dwight Woods' podcast, now he's on mine, and I think you need to cash in on your 15 minutes, buddy.
I think so.
This is my good friend, and he's been on the podcast before, so the second visit, my Chinese language advisor, one of them anyway. Welcome back, Mike Yuskiw.
Thank you. Thanks. Good
Absolutely. To be here. And he's part of the Talking Heads. So if you guys have watched any of the Talking Heads, you know this fella. The reason why I was asking Mike back to the show is because I think he can talk about a very interesting thing that he's kind of going through as far as, growth in the martial arts and how the currents take you and stuff. And I think this is a thing that's probably happened to people, and they might want to kind of hear the story, and it might help them out. And so the story I'm thinking about is, you were teaching for Premier Martial Arts, which was a huge chain school for a long time, and lots of people, lots of things going on. So this is a situation where you're working for a school, you're teaching, and then, you're not part of the ownership. So whatever the ownership does, whatever the accounting department does, and all of a sudden you've got a thing that's going out of business.
Right.
Boom. And so you now have no school, and you're in that position of not only, a student, but you're a teacher. And then you've got all these students too. And the question is, what now? So I think that's a good theme to talk about, because you're tackling a pretty interesting scenario.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. So Premier has probably 260 franchises, and I was working for one of the corporate schools. Now, when I started working for Premier, I think it must have been 2022, something like that. So I think I worked for them for about 3 years. They had about 20 corporate schools, and they were spread out. So they had a couple in Atlanta. They had the schools that I was working for. There were 5 in the Central Savannah River area. They call the CSRA. Basically around Augusta. Augusta was kind of in the middle of it. Augusta, Georgia. That's where all the jokes came about with me crossing state lines, that I'm so close to Georgia, right? I'm 30 minutes from Augusta, so I'm even closer to the state line because Augusta is over the border.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, I'm in South Carolina, but we had 2 schools in South Carolina and 3 schools in Georgia within those 5. So the story that we got was that Unleashed Brands that bought Premier, they didn't want to hold as many corporate schools. So they wanted to get rid of them. But instead of selling them off as franchises, they just closed them.
Oh wow.
So at first they closed two in our area, and they were sort of central, so other students could kind of spread out to the other three. Then they
Yeah.
closed two others, and so there's only one, and it was all the way on the west side of the area. So people that were all the way on the east side, where I am in Aiken, South Carolina, it was too far to go to Grovetown. Even North Augusta, South Carolina, which was pretty much in the middle, right on the line between Augusta and I'm sorry, between Georgia and South Carolina. Many of them didn't want to go to Grovetown. Grovetown is about an hour from me, where Augusta was about 40 minutes. So I was the head instructor of Augusta. That was 40 minutes, but to get all the way to the Grovetown school was about an hour. So about maybe 10 or 15 adults reached out to me that were already basically black belts at Premier,
Yeah.
and it kept snowballing. Like they started a group chat, and they called it the Super Secret Epic Ninja Club. So literally, it still has that name. Like it literally still they joke
Well,
around
that's a
like,
good name.
where's
Yeah.
the secret ninja training? Well, we have it the same place, so it's not really secret anymore. So, but it kind of that name kind of evolved, whatever. But the people reaching out to me, um, there were times where I was like hesitant to really go full force with like a school kind of thing. I was
Right.
thinking like, I don't know if I want to talk to them about, charging them and getting a space. Like maybe it's too much of the business side of it. And a couple of them were like, "Hey, we reached out to you. Remember that?" So I
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't
Well, I mean,
see.
they're used to paying, right? Because they were paying to be in a school anyway.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
some of them actually had, especially from this group that I'm talking about, some of them had paid tens of thousands of dollars for lifetime memberships that
Oh
happened
shit.
earlier when it was a franchise. And then
Right.
when it turned corporate and then Unleashed Brands bought it, that was almost three or two variations from the owner or the franchise owner that created the lifetime memberships.
Yeah.
So the legal issue was that Unleashed Brands said we have no obligation to honor these contracts that
Wow.
were created way long time ago. Now, the
Yeah.
other opinion of a lawyer around here that some of these people went to is they said, you bought the assets, they're your assets.
Right. Right.
So then, basically this would be something that they would take to court and see, who the judge thinks is right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
That
right?
all depends on the politics of the area. There's I not overly seedy, but as far as my background, but I've been involved in some stuff where the lawyer basically said, well, we're in a conservative county, so you can expect this. Where if we were, it was in Florida, he said, if we were in Miami, you could expect this. And of
Right,
course, I was like, damn, I wish we could have been in Miami. My
right.
reward would have been a lot more. But anyway, but yeah, so it really can vary.
Yeah.
Not only,
So my first thought was to just try and find a place outside. You remember when I was talking about this probably about a month ago when it happened, I was really looking for a pavilion. I was looking for a park that had a pavilion because
yeah,
with 100-degree heat and
yeah, you need some
100%
sun
humidity around
protection.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, in June, July, and August, we had something crazy like heat index was up to like 116 some days or whatever,
whoa,
something
yeah,
crazy with the humidity. So I wanted to find a place that had shelter, rain or shine. We didn't really find that, but we did find a number of parks, and the weather's been okay. But being in a park is only going to get us sort of so far. I mean, it's not that
right,
bad. Um, I've kind of kept I have it sign-in sheets every time, so I know how many hours
yeah.
people have already trained. Um, and
So it's
I
like a good band-aid, basically, right?
yeah, and
Yeah,
also I've had about 16 people each of the classes, each of the which is a pretty decent number, but it's not
yeah,
everybody. So if you think that there was about 30 or so people in the Facebook group, about 16 people are coming. about 10 of those are adults, and the kids are the rest of the minors. Anybody who was an adult was a black belt son or daughter of the parents that were coming.
Right.
So that's good because I'm still only basically teaching an adult class.
Hmm.
It's not like I'm breaking it up and teaching an adult class over here and a kids class on the side. All the
Right.
kids are there, and some of the parents know that. They've actually expressed it. Like one of them has actually asked me, "Hey, is it okay if I bring my two oldest?" Hey, I know the kids aren't super focused and everything. That's what they literally said. So some of them
Hmm.
understand that we're not really making it super fun. Like, and I joke with a couple of the kids that it's a little bit like a science lab. It's taking martial arts with me is a little bit less like you're in, a pep rally or an art class. It's a little bit
Yeah.
more like a science class. So I get that it's not going to be as entertaining. We're not throwing weapons up in the air, spinning around and catching them. Maybe if they got a kids program going, they might get into some sport karate. Right
Right.
now, we're in the lab, so everyone really loves it, but I do think that I'm not going to be able to do the park thing for very long. Um, I'm going to need a community center. I think what I'm thinking is that I may need a kind of intermediary period before I just go into commercial real estate and just start renting a location. There's a
Yeah.
couple of martial arts schools that are a little bit open to having like a club come in.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like
So
a sublease.
like
Yeah.
so because they're pretty open. I mean, a couple of the people have very much a Jeet Kune Do mentality, even though they don't train in Jeet Kune Do or our arts, but their
Hmm.
mentality is very similar. So, like this one guy I'm thinking about in North Augusta Martial Arts, very good guys. They have a judo club, so I think it's a judo instructor that they allow to come in. Not only does he have
Hmm.
a place, but some of their people can get some judo experience. They have a Filipino martial arts guy who teaches the Piper knife system, which I've never
Okay.
trained in, but I'd like to. And when I connected with him online, we already had 20 friends in common within our martial arts community. I mean, many people that you and I both know were already on his
Hmm.
friends list. So
Oh,
when I
wow.
talked to him that evening, I was basically vetting him, and I was like, okay, he
Yeah.
passed. He passed the test. I mean, the conversations I had, the people he knows, the ways that he talked about training. So one idea might be to go in and do a club in a school like that where I could build it, but I don't have to sort of give everything over to them. And it's possible that if it gets too big, I just take it from there and go into my own
Right.
space,
Right.
something
Right.
like that. So,
Yeah.
it's great that a lot of these black belt adults are really excited about their next step. And it's a very organic way that all of us went from one art to another, actually.
Well, that's what I was going to say because Premier was a sport karate kind of place, and that's
Yeah, that's
not
the base.
exactly what you're doing, right?
Right. Yeah, so I like last week, a couple days ago on Saturday, I literally went right off of seminar notes from Dan and Asante last week or the week before. Now, I'm teaching them sort of Junfan kickboxing. Like I started off teaching them the 1-2 series, and
Uh-huh.
a little bit of other things, but I really like the 1-2 and the 1-3 series as kind of a basis to get into a lot of kickboxing stuff. And what Guru Dan was teaching at the seminar, because like I was joking around with you a couple days ago, he started off saying, I never teach JKD anymore, and then proceeded to teach JKD for an hour. And of course, he can do that at Francis Fung School. He's probably not going to do that at a completely
Right.
public seminar where maybe he's not as close with the people attending. But
Well, yeah, I mean, well, he's cut all that stuff way back too. So where he's going now is definitely he's not going into uncharted territory. So he's
right,
going to places that he trusts, and I mean, he still does it in Legends. So if you come to Legends in June at the Academy, you're going to get 2, 4, 6, 8 hours of JKD because that's one of the sections. So it's not that he necessarily doesn't, but we just don't have him teaching an advanced JKD at the academy anymore. We still have one, two, three, four, five JKD classes at the academy. It's just that he's not the one teaching it. It's three of the rest of us.
Right, right. But it was really good to take the material from the seminar where it was taught more from the five ways of attack. But I took that and brought that in because it was a great way for them to get into some of the perspective and the mindset of JKD.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because as people that already have black belts in a different system of kickboxing and stuff like that, it'd be easy for me to have a drill on paper and for them to go back to the way they sort of normally think about these kinds of techniques.
Yeah.
Um, maybe I would give them a drill that has a lot of lead hand and lead foot kind of stuff, but ultimately, because they have this Dutch kickboxing kind of background, I could see how without explaining it in a certain way, it would feel like the way they normally do it. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted it to feel different, right? It's like it's like eating in a different restaurant, eating a different cuisine that has different flavors and different spices. You don't want to go back to having it the same way that you normally do it. So teaching the way that Guru Dan did from the five ways of attack, it really benefited from not only did I go back through the five ways of attack, but you could talk about the perspective. Some of the early trapping stuff, you can talk about how you're trying to score that lead hand, which is different. If you just kind of say it, okay, go to here, trap and hit. Like, for example, when I went from, you go low, you go high, they raise the lead barrier, right?
Right. Pink
And
check.
then
Uh-huh.
what I did with them is I know what I did. I had three variations with them. When they raised the lead barrier, I just trap and back fist. I didn't go through the complicate, the kind of the sort of multi-step. When we
Right.
went low to high, I had them cross parry too far so they could get the lops out. But so many of them were used to, and rightly so, bringing the other hand back. The lops felt weird because they weren't used to
Yeah.
having hands at center line. So when they weren't used to having that hand be right there. So
Uh,
some of these perspectives were very interesting too, and you could see they didn't even realize what they were doing with their hands. They didn't even realize it. So it was a very interesting way. Like one of the adults commented. I said it felt different mixing trapping in with kickboxing, didn't it? It felt different. And she said, yeah, but when we got it right, it felt so cool. So that right there, you could tell like when we got it wrong, it was like, oh, that didn't feel right. But when we got it right, something just clicked. That's the kind of thing, even from 1 hour,
yeah.
they get that kind of feeling. So without a building, we still have real lineage. You can still train well, which is the key. That's really the key. And I kept
Right.
talking about that. Doesn't matter where we are, right? Eventually we'll have a school. Right now, the important thing
Yeah.
is we're training well. That's the
Right.
important thing.
Well, it's the trick because I do know that, say, when I first started training JKD, the guy that I trained with, this was Tampa, Florida. So I mean the weather's nice most of the year, and we were outside at a community center on tennis courts. So we had, if it rained, which hey, it's Florida, it does rain. There was a covered picnic table area that we would go in and
Exactly.
work on stuff. But it was for Lauren, my teacher. It was that interesting situation too of like how much did he want to commit to getting a piece of property. I mean, because he liked teaching, and this was great. And at one point, I mean, we had probably 20, 30 people, which was, really good for that kind of setup. But
Right.
it's hard to look professional, which is what you're you're always going to have people like we have in the JKD groups. Well, it's got to be simple and it's got to be outside, and it's like no, and it doesn't. But I'm glad that you are a serious practitioner, and to you that's old school and that's hardcore and that's blood, sweat, and tears. But to function, to have a martial art teacher function, they either have to have some pretty high level, serious clientele that are willing to pay a lot to keep that person's house over their head, or you have to look at operating an actual school. And when you do that, it has to be professional to get people who are, what do we say, recreational. That was the term we were using, recreational, you know, to sign up, because you need the
Yeah.
bodies in the door to
Yep.
keep
Exactly.
that stuff, and so and to keep a living for yourself as well. So there's a professional look, you know, and we know that that's a facade. I mean, when you really understand it, but how do you tell so many millions of people who don't understand what a facade is and what that is as a facade, that, oh no, really, we're professional, but we're here in the park, you know, dancing through the mud. They're going to go, yeah, that's, I don't, I can go over here to, you know, this place that's maybe not good quality, but at least it's
But they
inside,
have
you know.
mats and a uniform, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it looks professional. So I mean, that's kind of the, you know, the balance that we're talking, and it's that stage that you're kind of going through where, you know, you have a core group, which is good. That's like an important beginning.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just like, okay, how do we take the appropriate steps, um, without overextending and, you know, crashing the whole damn thing into a professional setting? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I definitely want to kind of maybe think about what the kids program would be like. Um, I think there's some corrections from what Premiere was doing, although I think what Premiere did was really good. I think that with other curricula, I think that can be worked into the kids program in a way that doesn't, and it actually for the adult program too. I think one of the problems that some systems get into, and Premiere was guilty of it too, is front loading so much of the content that there's nothing really after black belt. And actually, they were doomed by their own success at Premiere because they really didn't think anyone was going to hang around after black belt. They figured
Really?
you're gonna train the black
Wow.
belt, and then you're gonna go off to college, you're gonna do different things. So the idea that people wanted to stay beyond black belt was actually somewhat of a surprise, um, and it wasn't factored into the business model. So you had our schools saying we can develop the second and third degree black belt curriculum, and you had the master instructor, the head of all the martial arts, saying he didn't want to develop the curriculum because he didn't want to, because Unleash Brands, the parent company that
Hmm.
owns Urban Air and Mathnasium and a Snapology and a couple of other things. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, they own a lot of
Okay.
things. They own a lot of things, right? They own Urban Air and all this other
So
stuff.
they're into owning. They're not into necessarily putting a service or a product. They're just into owning. I got it.
So they had something. Their model is really intriguing because they have a business to take care of kids from when they're born all the way to when they go off to college. Because they also have an SAT prep kind of a program.
Wow.
So they've got the really young Snapology, which I think I'm saying it right. I'm not sure if it's really Snapology, but it's basically like you go in and build with Legos. You got to go in
Okay.
there to do it, right? Urban Air is like your inside ropes course kind of thing, right?
Okay.
Premiere is the sort of after school karate. They didn't know it was a real martial arts program. So Unleashed wants to kind of have everything kind of
And this concludes the abbreviated version of the podcast. Please consider supporting the program by going to www.patreon.com/malmag and subscribing to the show. You can also purchase this individual episode or any individual episode at our Gumroad page. That's malmag.gumroad.com. Thank you for listening to this episode with Mike Yuskiw. Coming up next week, I talk to Lansing, Michigan on Zoom, and I talk with Michelle Kuzma. Our Malmag online store at martialartslifestylemagazine.com has a full selection of Timmy B's brand sticks for FMA and Krabiker Bong. Timmy B's brand now selling in Japan as well. Beautiful Timmy B's brand shirts and Dos Manos shirts are available We also have sarongs, molongs, and wooden training knives. An online course in the Dos Manos method for FMA is available under the Courses tab. More courses coming soon. Check out the Places to Train tab to find schools near you, and click on the Events Calendar page to see what seminars and events are happening all around the world. And of course, visit our main page for articles on the martial arts. Music by Arthur J. Martial Arts Lifestyle Magazine and the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast are trademarked and copyrighted by TNT LLC.